in talking with Mormons, I have been taken back by the fact that it is very hard, very difficult to get straightforward answers from those that I speak with. And so when people have asked me, you know, what has come as a shock to me, being here in Utah now for a year and a half, I always tell them that it's tough to talk with them. Number one, even just to get them to talk about spiritual things is a challenge. But if you do find some who are interested in talking about spiritual things, if you find a Mormon who's interested in talking about spiritual things, you'll get a variety of answers from any given Mormon. So there's no unity, it seems. There's no consistency amongst Mormons regarding their teachings, regarding their doctrine.
I think there's a huge difference between Mormon folk doctrine that the Mormon people want to tell you that their church teaches, and the official doctrines taught by the Mormon church.
When I say their teaching, you have to understand there's a big difference, usually a difference between official church doctrine, as the kind of statements we've just been looking at, and what we might call Mormon folk doctrine. Many Mormons don't believe a lot of what is really official Mormon church doctrine, and they not only don't necessarily believe all of that doctrine, but they even believe quite a few things that are actually contrary to that, but are so established in the Mormon psyche, if you will, in the collective consciousness of Mormons, that it's become current. It's Mormon folk doctrine. It's not Christian. It's not Mormon official church doctrine, but it's still Mormon because it's like, 90% or more of the population of the Mormon church would agree to it.
In recent years, it appears to be more and more difficult to get Mormon people to own up to the doctrines of their church. The strange doctrines, the different doctrines, the doctrines that are very un-Christian. I don't think in the past it was nearly as difficult for them to own up to these doctrines, but now, in our political climate that we're living in today, it appears as though it's almost impossible to get Mormon people, especially in political positions, to own up to any of the different doctrines that their church teaches and believes in. Even when they're common doctrines of their church, they just don't seem to want to talk about them because they realize how different they are than the main beliefs of modern Christianity or any kind of Christianity.
Yeah, it's a challenge because it almost seems like you have to know, what everybody has taught throughout the years regarding Mormonism, because it seems like it's a religion that's evolving. And so it just depends on where they fall into this spectrum of an evolving religion, and you have to know where they're at along that spectrum in order to be able to effectively communicate with them.
It's much more difficult, I see now. It's much more difficult to hear what I would consider very precise traditional Mormonism coming from the leadership. It's not that I think they're changing their views, they're just not emphasizing it like they used to, because in my opinion, they worship at the altar of public opinion. They're very concerned about what people think about them. They want very much to be accepted by the Christian community.
Also the doctrines of God. Mormon people don't like to talk about the doctrines of God because they know how contrary the doctrines of God that they believe are to the doctrines of Christianity. Totally different. And they don't like to talk about them. They like to try to make you think that we believe in exactly the same God, and it's totally a different God.
Anybody who's really studied Mormon history and studied how the Mormon leaders portray their church, they know they're covering things up. They know that there's one message for the general public and there's another message for the people. I know this. I've been studying it for 3 decades. I've seen it for 30-some years. And there's no denying this. They're not honest about what they believe.
I think there are 2 sets of doctrine in the LDS Church. I've been a missionary, I know it. There is a desire by, I think, church membership overall to fit in to the general mold of Christianity. And That said, I think I kind of call it this. I call it deep doctrine and missionary doctrine. If the missionaries walk up to somebody on the street, the message they're going to present is, yes, we believe in God. We believe in one God. We believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in these articles of faith, you know. And basically, the things I'm going to state, you're going to bear no conflict with, as you know, whether you're Baptist, Catholic, you know. I'm going to make some general beliefs like that. But when you really get into it, our beliefs are very different than Christians, and I think that's where you get some conflict. When I've sat in the same room before with some of the students from Biola, and that, you know, and I've listened to people debate back and forth, trying to mesh Mormonism into the Bible, trying to mesh the Bible into Mormonism, and somehow try to form a union between these two religions. But they're two religions for a reason. They're different. You know, you guys are monotheism. You believe in the Trinity. You believe in the Bible as the one Word of God, and that's the end of it. You know, Mormonism believe polytheistic, polygamy, continued revelation. The Bible is not the one Word of God. So many differences that are key, pivotal differences, and really, I think the only similarities that do exist are some common names and terms that we use, things like Jesus Christ, Holy Bible. But even our definitions of those things at the core are completely different, you know. And so yeah, I definitely think that they're, from the church's standpoint, in hopes to gain converts, yeah, there is some, what's the word, I don't think that they're as clear as they always should be about doctrine.